Tell it to. Okay, we are recording. Oh,
Of
there's one
course,
more
it's
person.
perfect timing.
You're good to go.
All right. Welcome to HIPAA 101. My name is Ronnie Goodpaster. I spoke at the CAD conference a few weeks ago, and about 10 minutes into that speech, it kind of hit me that I wish I'd made it a lot more basic. So as I started asking questions about risk assessments and this, that, and the other, kind of got a lot of blank stares. So following that, I spoke with Tracy, and we decided to do something that was a little more basic and to offer some stuff for free. Being HIPAA compliant, some of those controls are not always cheap, but there are definitely a few things you can do that are free and stuff you can do today. So we're going to cover those. If you got questions, post them in the chat. I also have Tracy Harden here, who is our president. She will be co-hosting, and I'll let her introduce herself real quick.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tracy Harden, president and founder of Next Century Technologies here in Lexington, Kentucky. I started the company back in 2001, and we've been focusing on IT support for small to medium businesses, but also do a lot of compliance work. My compliance started in the banking industry, which is a little bit more strict than HIPAA. Also, since we do support medical clients, we ourselves are HIPAA. So I'll be watching the chat. So please, at any time, put in questions there. Um, and we'll also, Ronnie will be stopping and occasionally to ask if people have questions. I really encourage you to do um, ask anything you have in mind. We are recording this, and you will get a copy of the recording when we're done. Back to you, Ronnie.
I also want to follow up and say that nobody's too small for this training. If you think you're a one or two person shop and this doesn't really count for you, we have clients that we provide HIPAA compliance for that are 5 users all the way up to 300-ish. So broad range of people here, and this can apply to everybody. So let's kick this off. Of course. So the first thing you can do that is free today on your email, whether you're using Outlook, Gmail, or whatever, is to enable MFA. MFA is two-factor authentication. When you go to sign into your email, you'll either get a code to your phone or you'll use an authenticator app and hit the OK button on it. Uh, Using the authenticator app is definitely more secure. They're slowly moving away from the text to your phone. It's just too easy to hack these days. So, something super simple. If there are questions about how to enable MFA, I'd be glad to answer those. And I actually have a quick doc. Um, yeah, very first one here. And make sure you can see my screen. Can make that just a little bit bigger.
We're still on the
Uh,
slideshow.
oh, okay. Yeah. Your screen sharing is paused. Why did it pause? I want to share just the desktop. Yeah, of course. Okay. My Mac's being way too secure. Let me know if you can see.
Yes, we got it now.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So if you want to enable 2FA in 365, it's pretty simple. There are a couple of different options. One, you can do it through the Entra Admin Center, and you can see kind of the steps here. And I'll share this document afterwards, by the way. If you're like, oh, I need to look at that, write that down, don't. We'll share this document with you. So you can
And
go through the
and
Entra ad. Oh, go
and
ahead.
you'll have to be what, a global admin, right, to do this global
Yes,
admin
correct.
permissions.
Yes, and that is not on here. You will definitely need to be a global admin to do this in 365. So you can go to the Entra Admin Center and simply enable security defaults. And the next time users go to log in, it will prompt them to do an MFA setup. It'll ask them if they want to use the Microsoft Authenticator, if they want to do a text to their phone, and you can configure those options as a global admin on how you want them to log in with MFA. Um, if you're going to force them to use their phones, some things to think about: are they company owned or are they personal owned phones? Employees may give some pushback if they're personal owned phones. There are a few different things you can do to kind of mitigate that. We can talk about that in detail a little bit later, but just know that MFA definitely needs to be enabled. Microsoft's slowly enforcing it for everybody. I don't know what the cutoff date for that is, but at some point, everybody that's using 365 will be forced to use MFA.
I know they were
Um,
starting in 2025, they started forcing
yes,
customers to do it. They didn't do everybody at once. It's been a rollout process.
and we don't seem to always get a notification on that. Sometimes we'll just wake up and then suddenly another client says, "Hey, we're being forced to MFA today."
Yep.
So I'd be proactive and just go ahead and implement it. Just be done with it. It's free, doesn't cost you anything as long as you have a 365 tenant and you're a global admin. Go in here and flip this on. Something super simple that you can do today. Uh, there are some advanced things you can do with conditional access and other policies to get a little more HIPAA compliant. I'm not going to dive into those today. That is on the sheet if you want to look at it, and then you can follow up with questions for me later. But anyway, basic MFA, very important. I don't know about Google and how to go about enabling it in there, but I know it offers it. Most of your major platforms will. Let me stop sharing that real quick and then jump back to the PowerPoint. Uh, oh, that's great. I lost the whole Zoom. All right, here we go. And back to that and share. Oh, I jumped screens on me. Uh, can you see my screen now?
Yep. We're
Awesome.
back. We're on slide 2.
So the same thing with email here. You can configure SPF, DMARC, and DKIM. These are things that can be done in your registrar to prevent people from spoofing your email. This is a little more complicated, and your registrar will host your domain name. So, like nextcenturytech.com is our domain name. Most people's registrars are GoDaddy or something similar. If you get in there and then if you get into the Microsoft tenant, it will tell you how to configure all this stuff. It's free. I highly recommend you get with your IT person first, though.
Yes,
If you
your
mess
IT
these up,
person. Yeah, I don't want to say, let your IT person
yeah,
guide you on this
if
one.
you can hose your entire email system if these are not set up correctly. So I highly recommend you consult your IT person or an MSP kind of like us. So while it is free, it is a little technical, but it will protect your email system. So, anyways, the next thing here is just remove your email address from your website. Look, I love you. I know you guys love to have your picture, your title, your email address, and all your contact info on your website. Well, guess what? That's exactly where hackers look as well. Please take your email address off your website. I mean, maybe even your names and titles as well. I don't Just a simple contact us form is always great, right? And that hides or helps protect your identities. It stops hackers from targeting you guys, right? If you put your CFO's name on the website, you can guarantee that person's going to be hit with,
A big
I need to
target.
change my bank account, or I need you to wire this money here. All these financial transaction spoof emails are going to suddenly start going to that person. Please take people like CFOs off your website. If you're the CEO and you want your name and title out there, great. But again, remove your email address and protect your financial people. I would not even have them on the website.
Yeah,
So
we don't. We only have it's me, you, and Janelle, our service manager, and that's it. And no email addresses.
no,
But we're
zero.
still
And we
targets. It still makes us a target, but
correct.
we're really careful, and we have a really good spam filter out front. Really careful on what we click, but I nobody needs to know who the CFO is.
No, no, protect your accounting
Ideally,
people.
if you can do that and not put the financial people out there, and your regular employees don't need to be out there. I mean, some companies they do they want to do it, but I really don't recommend even
Uh,
putting your employees and their names out there.
yeah. If you're going to do that, there's some advanced settings in 365 to help with spoofing. I'm not going to get into those today, but if you absolutely have to do it, there are some advanced settings that can be turned on to protect those people. But that's for another day. A banner for external emails. So if someone emails you from the outside and they're trying to spoof your domain name, you will get a pop-up that says in the top of your email that says, "Warning, this is from an external source." Essentially, be careful what you click. That's real easy to implement. I don't have a document yet that shows how to do it. I can come up with something for after this. but it takes all of 5 minutes. And then that way you don't think you're getting an email from someone in your office asking you to, again, change your bank account information or update their personnel records, that you get this little warning at the top of the email saying, hey, this person's trying to be you, but they're really from an outside source. So the little banner is super helpful. And I think we have it enabled for all of our clients. Um, Spam filter, turn it on, turn it up. I would recommend you get with your IT person with this as well. If you turn it up too much, you may block stuff that's actually legit. If you don't have it turned up enough, you may get a lot of junk mail. There's kind of a fine line in between there. Really
Just
need to
have
get with
a
your IT person.
just have a spam filter. If you don't know if you have one, find out
That's true
and
too.
configure it.
And,
Microsoft
and
has one,
that
but
is true.
there is a little bit to dial it in. We do that for our clients. We go ahead and configure it and dial it in. It'll work out of the box, but it works better if somebody takes the time to actually do the fine tuning on it. And that's going to be for
Yep.
most products.
Yep. You're right. Yeah. Just turning it on. Microsoft has one that's built in. Um, there are some more advanced levels if you want to pay a little bit more to Microsoft that can help increase that security. Again, kind of a conversation for another day. But at the most basic level, go in there and turn it on. Um, the worst thing that happens is it's a little overzealous and you have to look in your quarantine box or your spam box and then release some stuff that's legitimate. But turn it on for sure. Um, The next free thing you can absolutely do today is obtain business associate agreements from all of your vendors that have access to your PHI. If they are accessing your PHI, you must have a BAA. If not, and they have a breach, then you are responsible. If they have a breach and you do not have a BAA, your organization is responsible. So, go to your vendors, even your IT person, your cloud vendors. Microsoft has a standard one they'll send you. Um, I have a sample I can send you after this of what it kind of looks like. But you need business associate agreements with everybody that touches your medical information. Watch out for sites that claim to be HIPAA certified. Just because they say HIPAA certified, that means absolutely zero. Uh, if they don't sign a BAA, then they're not HIPAA compliant. So, and I also, in doing some research last night, apparently the OCR is now, if you have a breach and you don't have a BAA with that vendor, they're fining you as well. So there's going to be some monetary stuff that happens there. So please, the OCR definitely wants you to have BAAs with all of your vendors, and if not, again, you're responsible.
Oh, and
Protect your clients and your reputation too, man.
yep, and your
Um,
BAA needs to be done with your IT person. By
yes, yeah. If
them
you,
doing
mm,
support on for you, they need to have a BAA. They actually need to be following HIPAA as well. And don't be
yes,
afraid if they're not, then they're not really on board. They really shouldn't be signing a BAA if they're not following it internally. But yeah, your IT people count. They really do.
they
The
do.
janitor, not so much. But yeah, your IT people, just by virtue of log remoting in and helping you with a word problem, could potentially see PHI.
That is correct. Absolutely. And we are HIPAA compliant because we have multiple clients that are all HIPAA. Something else with your IT person, as you're evaluating vendors, grab your IT person and have them sit in on the phone call. Your IT person will know like what to look for as far as security and what precautions and if they fall under SOC 2, and they will know the questions to ask the vendor to make sure that you're good to go to use them if they're going to be accessing medical information. Grab your IT person, have them sit in, they will know what to ask. Uh, and then, more than anything, you want to protect your clients and your reputation, right? Your clients deserve to have all their PHI protected. So do your due diligence, get the BAA, and again, your reputation. Like, once you have a breach, everyone knows it, right? And what is the cost of rebuilding your reputation?
Uh,
Limit your liability.
just
Oh
a
yeah.
reminder, if you have questions, holler or throw them in the chat.
Yeah, please. Yeah, this is going to be pretty quick and basic, but if you have questions, throw them in the chat. I'm going to give out our information at the end on how to contact us if you'd rather do a phone call or want something a little more personable. Uh, yeah, limit your liability by having the BAs, definitely protecting yourself. The next thing you can do is create some IT policies. This is free, kind of. It is time consuming. This is going to take some time. This is not something that you can do in a day, unfortunately, but it doesn't cost you anything as far as having to go out and buy some product. Acceptable use policies, laptops, phones. What can your employees do on your laptops? Work stuff only, I hope. I hope they're not taking it home and letting the kids play games on it. I hope that you have them locked down with a passcode, and I hope those laptops are being updated frequently. Um, I hope that you're not letting employees remove the security software because it's too annoying or they want to get to websites that are being blocked. All these things are acceptable use policies regarding a laptop. Also, they have to keep it physically secured. If they take it home, it needs to be put up. If they take it in their car, it needs to be locked out of sight. I've had one stolen. So all those things are acceptable use policies. Employee phones, if you're going to allow company email on an employee phone, there should at the least, there should be a policy that says you have to have a passcode on your phone has to be encrypted, and your phone must be up to date. Those three things, passcode, encrypted, up to date. If not, and you have company email on that phone and it gets breached, then you're definitely liable, unfortunately. So, and also ask the employees please not to be handing those phones to the kids, letting them play games on them while they're at home too. And then you accidentally send email to someone with PHI that didn't need to see it, because then you have to report a breach there as well. So putting company email on phones, while it seems so easy to do, can be very risky. Remote work from home policies, another great policy. How to how do employees access your corporate resources? So are they on a VPN? Are they hitting a server back at the office? Are they hitting cloud products? What and how are you securing them to be able to access company resources from home? That should all be included on this remote work from home policy. Um, Incident response plan. I think I have a simple sample. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Where did I grab? No, I got business continuity, not the incident response. All right, we'll say that for just a second. So an incident response is like a breach. What happens if you have a breach? What do you do? Who do you tell? Do you have a compliance officer, a security officer? Who does it go through? Who all gets notified? How do you notify clients? Do you have a cybersecurity insurance policy? Are you going to stop and file a claim on that before you investigate further? Because investigating a breach gets very expensive. There are very specialized IT teams that have to do that. Paying for lawyers gets very expensive. Um, the last client that had a breach, it was in the six figure. I believe it was 150 grand or so just because someone clicked a bad link in an email. So those can be extremely costly. Make sure you have that documented in detail. Business continuity plans. What happens if you lose access to your systems? And this is the one I have a sample of. Let me see if I can pull it up. Show. Business continuity. And stop share. And share. There we go. Share. All right. Can we see that screen?
Yep.
Awesome. So with the business continuity plan, this, if you lose access to systems, this is kind of your backup, right? This is what happens if a server goes down, if internet goes down, if cloud provider goes down. How do you kind of function, and how do you continue to do business? So one of the best things to do is just kind of evaluate your critical business functions, right? And a lot of that is going to be in your electronic health record systems, your scheduling, billing. Um, your phones go down, email goes down, systems go down. And then what do you do to mitigate those? So some different strategies, obviously doing backups, cloud backups, disaster recovery, having redundant systems. If you're heavily reliant on internet and you have AT&T and T and it goes down, do you have Spectrum as a backup so that you're back up and going? Um, in emergency operations mode, if all of your electronics go down at the office, if your internet's down, computers are down, servers are down, can you function with paper? And a lot of our clients used to. I don't know that it's so these days. I feel like back in the day, they all had like a paper backup. I'm not so sure anymore. I think that's kind of went by the wayside. But if you can function with paper and you have a charting failback and you have ways to check people in and to do business, those need to be documented, right? If it's not documented and you don't have a process and procedure, it's going to be chaos. So if everything goes down and you need to still operate and there's a way to make that happen, make sure it's documented, make sure everybody has access to that document. Communications plan, a call tree. You're unable to do business for the day. How do you contact all your clients? How do you contact all your vendors? How do you contact employees if phones go down, internet goes down, systems go down? How do you contact all these people that depend on you you know, to do business? Mass notification system. Say you're an adult day and you have 30 clients are supposed to be there that day. How do you notify everybody pretty quickly if something happens and you can't do business that day? Is it individual phone calls? Do you send out mass text messages from a system? Um, just kind of a game plan. If something goes wrong and you can't do business, how do you notify everybody? Backup phones. A lot of our adult days that we service, uh, at least one person there will have a cell phone that's a quote company cell phone. So if their main phones go down, then we can forward everything to that cell phone. So super cheap, super simple, effective method. Um, and then you got to designate these responsibilities for these backup, business continuity plans. Who is the coordinator? Who activates the plan? Who is coordinating the response? Someone's got to be the person in charge to lead all this. I'm not going to cover all this really in depth, but just know that you need to have a plan in place and that everybody needs to know what the plan is, right? At the end of the day, have a plan in place and make sure everybody knows what to do.
And you're sending this document as well with the recording,
Yep.
correct? Okay.
This will be included. It's very detailed, and I don't want to sit here and read it to people, but yes, yeah, we'll definitely send it out. Get back to my there we go. Sure. AI policy. We talked about this kind of at the conference. None of the mainstream AI platforms are HIPAA compliant. Gemini, ChatGPT, Copilot.
That
There's a lot of
means
common
you won't
ones.
get a BAA from them.
Correct.
They're not.
That means even if you do the paid for version, because there is a pro paid for version, especially with ChatGPT, it is not HIPAA compliant because they will not sign a BAA. So when you put information into an AI, it kind of goes out for the world to see, right? It's not segmented off from the rest of the world, so it's not private data. Anything you submit to a chat bot or anything, you might as well assume that everybody's seeing a copy of it, right? So there are uses for AI in the healthcare workplace, but for basic things, creating these policies, writing standard operating procedures, there's a million and one things. Yeah, creating training policies, creating trainings. I mean, there's so much that AI can do. Just don't put PHI into an AI bot. Never. Um, if your EHR, your health record system, or whatever you want to call it, has AI built in and it's a feature, and you have signed a BAA with your EHR provider, then you would be safe to do so. That's about the only time, I mean, unless you have something else, Tracy, that's the only time I can think of it would be safe.
Well, I did a quick Google search, and there is a company called Bastion GPT that does offer HIPAA compliant chat GPT. And what that means is they're running their own servers and in a
So again,
secured environment. So
it is
those
segmented
people,
off.
I know nothing about them. Like I can't speak to them about them at all.
All
This
right.
was just a Google search. I saw them a few weeks ago and I did this, and it looks like another one has popped up. So It's coming, but also like your electronic Athena Health, I know they're a big um,
Yes.
EHR, one of the biggest. They have one built in. So you're going to see more and more of it. Just we don't want people going out to these free ones. Ideally, you can set up with through
Oh,
technology set up to that those sites are blocked. So employees can't get to them from from their work computers.
yeah,
But
that's another great point. Absolutely great point. You can set
on
up
their
so all the free
phone
ones
or
are
another
blocked.
machine, they could, and that's not great. But with technology, you can actually block to a lot of those sites. So it's a tough. I mean, it's not just HIPAA that's a problem. We're working with our clients in many industries on how great and wonderful and dangerous AI can be, and not to share too much with AI.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, don't share any kind of personal, I mean, not just PHI, but I'm talking like credit card information or anything that is personal to you. Just don't
And
put
your
it in AI.
employees, well, anything
Oh
you don't want
yeah.
the world to know about. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Consider these AI bots kind of like social media platforms. Once you put it out there, the whole world can essentially see it. So unless they are signing a BAA with you, just assume that anything you put into an AI, the whole world can see. So,
Yep.
all right. Um, and this one's kind of tricky. So I brought this up in the training. I said, how many people in the room have done risk assessments? And man, out of 100, I think one kind of raised their hand. And I know probably two factors in that. One, they can be costly, and two, they can just be intimidating. They're
Intimidating is the
so
word.
yeah. Even as an IT person, I think sometimes they can be a little intimidating. Um, Risk assessments can be rough, but the thing is to know you have to at least start one, right? You can't just kind of put your head in the sand and be like, I know HIPAA requires them, but it's just too hard. I'm not going to do it. Maybe 10 years ago, you could have gotten away with that. Heck, maybe even five. But at this day and age, they've even put a free one out on their website. You have to at least start a risk assessment. Now, maybe some of the controls on there are pricey, depending on security software, syslogging. Some of these controls can just get pricey, and you don't have to do all of them. But on the risk assessment, you have to acknowledge what controls you have and what you don't. And then you have to have a game plan. So maybe you don't have 365 email and Intune and all these things deployed today, but you have a 12-month plan to get them all deployed, right? That needs to go on the risk assessment. You need to have a game plan. If you have a breach and you've never started a risk assessment, you're going to be in big trouble because then you're just, I don't know how to say it, but you're just not even trying, right? So negligent. There you go. That's what I was looking for. At that point, you're just negligent. You have to at least start a risk assessment, at least with some basic things on there. Have a game plan going forward. Yes, maybe it's not feasible to implement them all today, this month, and the next quarter, but you at least need a 1 or 3 year plan, right? You can't just not do these because they're too intimidating, they cost too much, too time consuming, you don't know how. Those are no longer legitimate excuses if you have a breach. So I can tell you on a recent breach that as soon as this company spoke with their lawyers, they didn't have a risk assessment, and the very first thing the lawyers made them do was stop and do a risk assessment before they done anything else. So they wanted that on the books because they have to submit their breach response to, OCR and all this stuff. So must have a risk assessment, at least a basic one. The OCR's put up a free one here, and I've got a link to it here, and I'll give you all this as well later. It is a little complicated. I
You need
suggest,
your IT person to do it with you too.
yeah, I really suggest sitting down with an IT person, an IT company, someone with some IT knowledge. So your security officer, your HIPAA compliance officer, whoever is in charge of that needs to sit down with an IT person and navigate this. It's just difficult for you to do on your own. So I have a sample one, and I'll shoot that out after this as well, so you can kind of look and see what it entails. Basically, you're going to identify all your systems and their associated risk, right? So mobile devices. how big of a risk are they? Probably not unless they have company email on them. Kind of like I was talking about earlier. If they have company email, then how do you mitigate the risk of that? Well, you enforce a passcode. You enforce a policy that says it must be encrypted, and another policy that says it must be up to date, right? Three easy things: passcode, encrypted, up to date. And that is a just a written policy somewhere. Because when you list mitigation strategies, that must be in a policy. So if you have a breach and they come in and say, all right, what's your risk assessment for email? Because that was breached recently. You can't just say, oh, well, I'll tell all my employees that, they got to have a passcode, they got to have this, they got to have that. Well, where is that policy? Can we see it? Have your employees signed off on it? If they haven't, then it's meaningless, right? You must have an associated policy with all of your mitigation strategies. And your employees must have signed off on it, they read it and know it. So the risk assessment literally goes through everything, every system you have, and just helps you to define what the risks are and what the mitigation strategies are. So, um, and like I said earlier, the controls for some of this stuff could be costly. If you have big fancy servers, it could be that you have to do syslogging, some advanced security software. Some of these things can get pricey, but be honest. Be honest on the risk assessment, what you have in place and what your game plan is. So, Tracy, anything you want to add? I know there's risk assessments are just a beast.
They are a beast. And the template will definitely get you started. It's a process. You don't have to get every single one of them right. I know we don't, but for the ones we don't have perfect, I have a counter situation. We're not doing this, but instead we do this to provide that protection. So, and sometimes you're just not going to have certain things in place because maybe you're going to roll it out in the next year, and that's it. It just has to go on the risk assessment. It's not like you get graded on it and you turn it in for class, but you're acknowledging the risks that you're willing to take. That's what you're doing.
That's
You're
it.
identifying it and then have a game plan to see if there's some way you can mitigate those risks in the future. Or if you have another piece of technology or another method to mitigate that risk, that's great.
Yep. I think a common one is we'll hear that, well, someone uses a desktop at the office and they access everything there. And then when they go home, they'll get on their personal laptop and then hit, some cloud site for company resources. And they're like, but we've always done it that way and we're not going to change. Okay, well, you don't have to change. But if you're allowing an employee to go home and use a personal laptop and utilize, access company resources, has to go on the risk assessment. You can't put your head in the sand and act like you don't know about it. It has to be identified on the risk assessment.
And it is a big
So,
risk. It's a very high risk. I don't allow it in
no,
we don't
it's a
allow it in our company.
gigantic
It's
risk.
not allowed. But then we
No.
have employees using personal phones to access email. There's a risk involved in that if they're using personal phones. So
Yep.
that's on my risk assessment. So, I don't have everything perfect. It's really hard to get them all perfect.
It is, yes. But at least identify it on the risk assessment. At least acknowledge it, right? So,
Because you have a breach, the first thing the OCR office is going to say, do you have a risk assessment? Where is it? Can we see it? That's
yeah.
good.
And I can share, we're way ahead of schedule here. I can share, let me go to stop share and share. Do, 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 do. All right. So, and like, Chat GPT is great, by the way, for things that are not PHI related. So I asked Chat GPT to generate a sample SRA focusing on email systems. So this is kind of what you would do. And I ask it to simplify it. It can be a lot more complex than this, but I ask it to simplify just for the sake of this class. You'll go in and your platform. It would be like Office 365, Gmail, hopefully not Yahoo or AOL.com. It could be out there, but hopefully you're on one of the big boy platforms. Do you have MFA enabled? Are you sending encrypted emails when you have PHI involved? How are you accessing the email? Is it from a web? Is it from a phone? Is it from Outlook on your PC? And then do you have controls in place with your email, like DLP, which is data loss prevention, uh, which is actually something else you can turn on. And I should have included it on the email security screen. A little more techy to turn on, but essentially you can tell 365 if an employee is about to send out an email that has PHI in it to go ahead and encrypt that email. If an employee forgets to hit the encrypt button, then DLP will stop them and say, "Hey, we found PHI in this email. Let's go ahead and encrypt it." And then you don't accidentally send someone, information that didn't need it.
The DLP
So
though isn't free. It's going to be tied to a different
no,
license in 365. That's
yeah,
the little gotcha.
and
So it's not one of your free ones,
I
but it's not
think
expensive.
it comes with premium now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's in
I think
premium, business premium license, but it's not in
yeah,
business standard.
but so if you have Office 365 and Business Premium, should definitely have DLP.
But it has to be
Uh,
turned on. It has to be
yeah,
configured.
should definitely have it turned on. Data loss prevention is what it stands for. Data loss prevention. It looks for social security numbers, dates of birth, Medicaid, Medicare ID numbers. There's a whole slew of things it looks for before. As soon as you hit the send button, it analyzes it real quick, and if it finds something, it'll just stop you and say, "Hey, wait a minute, we found PHI. Doesn't this need to be encrypted?" So it can really save you. Um, and then the inventory of ePHI and email. So again, are you sending PHI out? Again, you're just identifying what could be a risk, right? So are you sending PHI? Are you seeing attachments that could have PHI? Are you using mobile devices? Uh, threats and vulnerabilities. So these are the potential threats with using email systems, phishing, misdelivery, sending it to a wrong person on accident, um, unauthorized access, improper storage. Uh, and then just downtime could be a risk too. If you're supposed to do business and 365 is down, then what do you do? So something as simple as that is considered a risk. Security controls, we talked about these in depth at the conference, the administrative, physical, and technical controls, right? So administratives would be acceptable use policies on the phones. Technical control would be something like enforcing MFA on email. Then a physical control would be like a device passcode or a workstation auto lock. So
And door
anyway,
locks too.
yeah, really, yeah. Or if you're traveling with these devices to lock your vehicle and lock them out of sight, that would be another great physical control. And all that can be written into policy. Again, all of these things that you do must be written into a policy because if they're not in a policy, then it's kind of meaningless, right? So when you're looking at a risk assessment, you identify the controls, you come up with mitigation strategies, and then you implement them. And then you tie them to a policy and procedure. So while this is free, this is time consuming. And again, I recommend you just grab your IT person and sit down and have them help you with this.
I had a question for you. In the
Sure.
one that the government is providing for free, is that like a PDF or is it something you fill out online?
I
I didn't look
think they
into
just
it.
give you templates, if I'm not mistaken on
Does
that
that
one.
link say it or does that link take you to a page?
The
Share
link
your sh
takes you to the page. So there's the link. Let's
the
see.
risk assessment. Okay. I didn't know if it was a PDF file.
Let's see if we can.
Your laptop is being very secure, saying you shouldn't go there.
Oh yeah, I seen that. Can you see this screen?
No, I can't. We're still
Oh
at
yeah,
the
it
slideshow.
stopped sharing. Okay, yeah. Let me actually share that screen for a second
Yeah,
then.
what does it look
Yeah.
like? Because I was curious
Google
what they were
Chrome.
offering on it. Um, we use an electronic version of it where everything's recorded electronically and it gives you some nice charts and color codes things and gives you a lovely summary.
Yep, it gives you a.
This one is going to be probably a more manual process.
It is. Can you see the screen now, or is it
Nope,
still being way too secure? No.
it's black.
Yeah, it doesn't like me sharing this website. Apparently, it thinks it's insecure. That's okay. No big deal. Go back here to share the presentation. So it takes you to a screen basically where you can download some Excel templates. So you're just going to fill in the boxes. It's all pretty manual. So,
Oh, so it's Excel templates, you said?
yep, Excel templates.
Okay.
Yep. So it's just going to hit some of the high points, have you fill in some stuff. And again, though, I would still get with your IT person, right?
You're going to have somebody from IT to help you answer the questions.
You really are, because you're not going to know the how do you mitigate email security risk on a phone. Like, you may know some administrative, but when you get into the technical side of it, you'll definitely need help. Or how do you secure a workstation? How do you secure a server?
And I
How
can't
do
do
you
a risk assessment on one of our clients without talking to the administration because it's a lot about your policies and procedures and how you do things. So
exactly?
it's a group effort to do it correctly.
It is. So, like I said, while it is free, it definitely is time consuming. Definitely time consuming. So, and you have to put some effort into it. But at least start, get a basic one, grab your IT person, at least get it started, right?
And
Don't put it off. Don't just not do it.
it has to be redone. It has to be touched annually at least. Or if you do a
Correct.
major change, let's say you merge with another company, or maybe you buy a server or do a major change in your computer network or in your physical office, I would do another one to refresh it.
Yep. We recently had a client change EHR providers and they needed to update the risk assessment when that happened as well. So
That's what's nice when
yeah.
it's electronic. It takes the last answers and then you just go in there and update it. If this is more manual through Excel spreadsheet, it's going to be a little bit more tedious.
Yes, and the electronic system we use is really easy to share with all the employees too, like really quickly. So we're not having to print it out and give everybody copies and say, okay, we're doing this now.
Yeah.
We do the electronic version and then they all have instant access to it. So, and they can reference it at any time, right? They're not depending on us to give them the Excel sheet to go see it. They can jump on our system and see it at any point in time. So, yeah, definitely do a risk assessment. The electronic version is way better. This one is free. It is time consuming, but I highly recommend getting an IT person, IT company to help you out. And
And I would say of everything we covered today, the risk assessment is going to be the number one item. They are going to
yes,
be all, Beck said, first question, you have your risk assessment.
yeah, I can tell you when that other company got breached. I mean, as soon as they contacted the lawyers to say, how do we get started in dealing with this? The first thing the lawyer said was, let's see your risk assessment. So it's, how do you know what your risks are if you don't do a risk assessment? How do you know how you might potentially be exposed? So, and I asked a good question in the conference that I did. I was like, how many people here, how would you know if your email had been exposed? How would you know if your email is hacked right now? And then everybody just kind of gave me the deer in the headlights look. I'm like, this is why you need a good IT company and IT provider. You need help with these types of risk and how to mitigate them and how to know what's going on. So, all right.
Are you ready for me to tell them about our free offer?
Yes, yes, I will throw
Yes.
it to you.
And Ronnie mentioned this at the event, but we do a free security scan. It's like a phishing simulator. What we do is, with your approval, we also sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, because we will be exposed to data. And I'd be happy to provide a BAA. That's no problem. But we send you a link in an email. You click on it, and then the software goes and tries to see what it can find. This produces a report that gives you an idea of what one click can do. So, because you think, well, it's a phishing email. What really can they get a hold of? Well, I can tell you with this little program, if you would like to sign up, we run it on 3 to 5 computers of your choice. I usually tell you to do the executive level machines. And it's amazing what you can recover. I almost always recover passwords. You'd be amazed at how quick it is to find passwords, PHI information. Um, it does a search and just sees what all it can find and return to me. And it's a low level penetration test is what this is. And we actually includes a report. We go over the report with you and all the findings, and you can get a copy to share with your IT person or have your IT person in on the meeting. Either way. So if you'd like to sign up for that, there's the QR code there on the screen, or you can go to that website and just put in your info, and we'll coordinate with you to schedule a time to get that started.
Yep. It's always interesting to see what passwords people have saved in their browsers. Terrible idea,
Yes.
by the way.
Oh
Never
yeah,
save
we pull
passwords in their
those.
browser.
Very easy to pull. It's kind of
Uh,
incredible.
and don't ever think. there's a misconception, and the people at the conference asked me to bring this up, and I don't know if I did or not. I may have gotten sidetracked, but you're never too small to be targeted. In fact, if you're smaller, you're more likely to be targeted because then hackers kind of know that you probably don't have the big boy sophisticated systems that some of these giant companies, have. So just because you're not a hospital or you're not a 10,000 person facility, don't think that you're not going to be targeted. We had a company that was, what, 4 or 5 people, and were targeted with a wire transfer for what, several $100,000.
Yeah, they got away with a lot of money for that small company.
So again, a lot of times smaller companies don't have all the security controls in place that larger corporations do. So you do become the target, unfortunately. So don't think you're too small.
No, we're all
Um,
targets in the United States. Good Lord, every company.
isn't that the truth? Um, if you have follow-up questions after this, my email is on here. You can find us on Facebook. Our website's on here. You can find us at the website. You can call us. My LinkedIn's also on here if you want to add me and have some conversation offline. That'd be cool. Um, anything you can think of, just holler. Let us know how we can help.
Yeah. I don't see any other questions. Somebody asked about the recording. Yes, we will get that recording out. Should be able to get it out today.
Yep, and we can include the documents I have too. I got several sample documents that you can just kind of take a peek at. Most of them are AI generated. They're not in-house use documents, so they're simply for reference. So please just take it at kind of face value for that. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
So, if there's no other questions, we'll wrap things up here.
Awesome.
Get
Thank
everybody
you very
free a little
much.
early.
All right, thanks.